this guy either means something or he doesn't. And fortunately, you know,
But saw that.
Yeah, I saw it meant something. And quite honestly, you know, you go back and if you're looking for that mythical Cactus Jack, like he's there in spots, you know, like, you know, there's certain matches where I was as good as, you know, Hunter was making me out to be, but I think WWE did a very good job of creating this mythical character from a guy who was a very good performer, but not mythical by any means.
So then, which one of those guys was your favorite to be? Which one of those guys was your favorite to work? Or which one of those guys was easiest to work?
The closest to my heart was the Commissioner in 2000.
Yeah.
You know, where I completely changed courses. And I said, I went home. I did believe I was retired, and I went to Hershey Park, and I traded out a 20-minute Q&A in the park for like the run of the place for 4 days, meals included. So I made out pretty well in that deal, and I had one of those little, you know, shaving kits, the head shaver. I went home and I went back to the room, shaved off all my hair, which had been a trademark, had been long since '85. And my son Dewey was there. He thought it looked cool, so I shaved his head too. We got some great photos of us going down the log flume with no hair, and that was my signal to myself. I would never do anything in the public eye ever again. That was dead set, never. And it was 2 days later, I get a phone call. Hey pal, how'd you like to be the Commissioner? And I was like, all right, you know, and I showed up.
That hey pal was the famous Vince McMahon phone call voice, which is either the best phone call you could ever take or a bunch of hassle.
And it was that same hey pal. It was like at 7 a.m.
He's so charismatic and he's good on the phone.
Hey pal. But 7 a.m., like the
hey,
guy
pal.
never sleeps.
Yeah.
Anyway,
got an idea for you.
How'd you like to be Dude Love? And I went, like, once.
He said that to you?
He said that to me on the phone.
They came up with Dude Love?
No. What it was, and this, I remember this.
You already been Dude Love.
You said this to me, and this is one of the things I talk about during the current show, because I love the idea that I can take people back and go into Mankind and give them that feeling of being that 97 Mankind by taking them back to the interview segment. Right? Dustin Rhodes had just done what was at the time really groundbreaking interview where he said, I'm Dustin Runnels, I'm the son of a famous wrestler, talking about living, you know, in his dad's shadow.
Yes.
He referred to it as his character, or I don't think it's his gimmick, but his character. And WWE wanted to do the same thing with me as Mankind, because Vince had come to realize that I had a more interesting real-life story than the fictional one we created as Mankind. And it was one of those things, again, where you have to have a feel for your character. You got to fight what you think is right. And they wanted me to go out and talk to the fans just as I'm talking to you and say, my name is Mick Foley. I used to be Cactus Jack. I've been wearing this mask. And I said, man, I got a lot of time and effort tied up in this character, and I propose that we go out unscripted. Jim Ross pulled it off. Probably nobody else could have, and for years I considered it to be one of the top two or three things I'd ever done in the business. I said, what if JR asks me questions? I will answer them with 100% honesty, but I'll do it in character. And you probably heard this as well. I remember Al Snow telling me that the first day I was in WWE, that you couldn't really become a top guy until Vince personally became a fan. And up until that night in '97, that wasn't the case. Like, I was used good, you know, I'd been on top of a couple of pay-per-views. I think if you'd ask Vince deep down, are you a fan of this guy? He would have been on the border. And JR and I just went in, and again, you know, you know, to me, the intangibles, like that magic in the air is can't be scripted. It's gotta be an element there. And I think we lose some of that. I think with the scripting, you lose a lot of the lows. Mm-hmm. You eliminate a lot of the horrible interviews, but you also lose that element, you know, the possibility of magic. And if they'd scripted that, it may have worked. It wouldn't have worked on a level that it did, because it was like, I remember you and I riding, and by that time you were kind of a loner by '97, you know? So it was unusual that we'd be riding again like the old days. And I remember you saying, what are they doing, kid? They turn you baby face? And I said, no, Steve, I think they just want people to get a better feel for the character. You looked at me and said, you'll be a babyface in 3 weeks. And at the best of my knowledge, it's the only time that I can recall a turn taking place without any in-ring, without any saving of a hero. It was just that every week they would unroll this thing. And when I told the story, I didn't even know Vince was in the room. It was all dark. and they said, all right, we're going to change tapes. And I heard a voice in the darkness go, "This is outstanding." And I was like, that's it? Like, I'm a made man in WWE. Like, that was the most pivotal moment, I think, of my career when I became a star in WWE.
Right.
Yeah.
God dang, that's
it's going pretty well, right? We aren't going to live up to the billing.
We are living up to it. But what I want to do, I'm going to run to the refrigerator. I'm going to grab an ice cold beer, and I want to continue the conversation. But this will be for next Thursday. I want to talk about ECW. I want to talk about your thoughts on promos. I mean, the stuff you were cutting in ECW was just pure gold. And, man, I was there just watching it. I mean, all through your career. I mean, multi-layered, complex shit. I mean, it was crazy. And so I enjoyed watching all that and listening to it. So, but before we leave, we know you're on the road.
Yeah, I'll be in Thursday night. I'm in Brea. Friday and Saturday I'm in Ventura. I take a little time off to go to Professional Santa Claus School in Denver, and then I pay for that trip by doing a show in Denver on July, because I'm still old school that way, August 31st, and then I got like a 3-week run in British Columbia and Alberta, Canada.
We're going to pick some of those up on the next show we're fixing to do on Twitter. He is real Mick Foley, because there's some fake Mick Foleys out there. He's the real one on Twitter, real Mick Foley. His website, you can catch all his dates for his one-man show, realmickfoley.com. Anyway, shutting her down. Mick, appreciate it. We're coming right back for the next week's show.
This has been a Podcast One.
All month long, the biggest movies are streaming free on Pluto TV's Popcorn Summer Movies. Watch star-studded blockbusters like Titanic and Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, or fall in love with charming rom-coms like Hitch and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. The best part? Pluto TV is 100% free. No credit cards, not even a sign-up. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies, TV shows, and more. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.
And Geico knows it can be hard work, because whether you own or rent, you still have to fill it full of your stuff. Your furniture, the flat screen, and all the boxes of stuff that have been sitting there ever since you moved in, but haven't unpacked. But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. That way, you'll rest easy knowing that your home and all your stuff is protected, like the furniture and that flat screen. Plus, getting a quote on homeowners and renters insurance is super easy through Geico. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Visit geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
Hey, this is Adam Carolla. Let me tell you about my podcast. We do it every single day, so you can subscribe, and there'll always be a fresh one waiting for you. It's about 2 hours of topical topics and news and guests and comedians and, of course, my own vitriolic take on just about everything that's going on in the world. Plus, we get a lot of really interesting and notable people who come in. We'll get politicians, we'll get makers, we'll get stand-ups, we'll get authors, we'll get...
You're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start heading out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? You lose your job? You total your car? You kill someone? Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe and plan ahead to get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life. Or someone else's. Forever. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Dak Prescott here. Why do I choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because better sleep elevates my game. Only my Sleep Number 360 smart bed helps me fall asleep faster, keeps me cool, and effortlessly adjusts for my best sleep. The result? 28 minutes more restful sleep a night. That's more focus, more edge, and more highlights. And that means more wins for all of us.
Don't miss the final days of the biggest sale of the year. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL.
Still sitting there with Mick Foley, so I needed to weigh in, and that was it. When we last left off last week, we were going to talk about promos, ECW, and all that stuff, and we're going to get to it. But